Rev up your engines!
Toby Koenig says, do recalls last a long time? Well, at least here in the United States, recalls last forever, as long as the company's still around. If a car is recalled for something, then it has to be fixed forever. There's no time limitation on it. But it's only recalled once. You buy a car that's 10 years old, and you see it's got a recall for it, they got to replace the engine. Well, if you go in, and they give the VIN number and they run it and say, oh, the previous owner had the engine replaced under this recall, you don't get another one. But there's no time limitation on it in the United States. If it's recalled forever. Because a lot of it's for safety reasons, and they want to keep things safe. They don't want to non-recall things that are safety reasons. Hey, T-Line Cap says, I got a 1998 Accord. AC doesn't work. The repair costs more than the car's worth. I live in Georgia. It's going to be hot soon. What should I do? Move to Alaska. I don't know how humid it is where you are. Guys actually can use swamp coolers that you can stick in the window that use the evaporation of wick fibers, and that will cool you off. But if you live in a humid area, they don't work at all. You know, you roll your windows down, you know, wear shorts all the time. If it's more than a car is worth, it's really not worth fixing. Now, when I was young, conversion kits and converted an entire car that didn't have AC to have AC for a little bit of money. But today, I've actually priced it for customers, and it was prohibitive. These kits now cost just as much as repairing them with the factory parts, so you're not going to save any money doing that either. Logan Walker says, Scotty, what could be the cause of a rough idle in an 03 Silverado's 225,000 miles and runs good when it's driving? That many miles, the engine is somewhat worn. First thing you would do is have all 8 spark plugs taken out of the engine and have what's called a wet and dry compression test done. You take a compression of all 8 cylinders dry, then you put like half a tablespoon of oil, one at a time in each cylinder, and then do the wet compression readings. If you find the pressures go up in a lot of them quite a bit when it's wet, it means the piston rings are worn out and there's nothing you can do but rebuild the engine. Those, though, are close and the engine still shows good compression. It can be you got a vacuum leak, it's sucking air, you can check for vacuum leaks. It could be that as old as that thing is, the fuel injectors are probably dirty. You could have the fuel injector pressure cleaned. I have a video on that, how to clean fuel injectors without removal from the engine. There's a lot of things you can check, but start with the compression test, because it could just be the engine's flat worn out. Now, idle is poor, but they can run pretty good once they get going. Always check something like that first, because you don't want to be running all over like a madman only to find out, hey, the engine's worn. Exac says, Scotty, I got a 2000 Honda Accord. It has loose transmission mounts, bad AC control unit, a water leak, leaves water on the driver's floor. Is it time to move on? It runs great. Well, you know, it depends on the mileage and what it looks like. You're going to put a reasonable amount of money on that stuff if you're going to have a mechanic fix it. So if you're going to have a mechanic fix it, my advice is I'd probably say move on. If you're going to fix it yourself, and you want to try fixing a little here, and you don't mind rigging things like you say is a bad AC control unit. Well, if you can put a toggle switch on the dash and run a wire from the battery to the toggle switch and the toggle switch to the AC compressor, and then it blows cold, you can do that yourself. I got videos showing people how to do it. So, you know, if you're going to fix a little bit yourself, maybe try that. Hernandez Molina says, should I buy a 2010 Toyota FJ Cruiser? Well, if you like it, go right ahead. They're well-built vehicles, and they don't make them anymore. I think it's more a marketing decision on Toyota because, I mean, you got to face, they're kind of gas hoggy. They use a lot of fuel up, but they do run. They don't have any particular problems. Yeah. And if you like that particular vehicle and you're happy with the gas mileage that it gets and how it rides, go right ahead. You know, I got customers with them that love them. They're nuts about them, and they'll probably never get rid of them. But they stopped making them. They just decided it was a marketing thing on Toyota's behalf, really. Alan Hermes says, Scotty, I want to buy my first used SUV. What would be your choice? Affordable, please. Okay? You're going in the wrong direction. Affordable and SUVs, at least the good ones, they don't belong in the same sense. They're so popular. Everybody wants them. So the sale price of them is higher and higher and higher and higher. I was going to pay a lot of money for them. Now, I mean, the best ones out there are the Toyotas and the Lexuses, but you're never going to get one cheap that's less than 250, 300,000 miles on it because everybody knows they're good vehicles. If you got a limited amount and you want something that might last a few years, you could always try something like a Ford Explorer. You know, I've got customers that bought used ones. They had reasonable mileage for $3-4 grand, and they had them for a few years, and they were okay. You know, you're never going to find a Toyota in that price range unless it's got tons and tons and tons of miles because everybody knows they're good cars, and they're going to pay a lot of money for them. You really have to have an SUV. That's what you're stuck in. I mean, if you want a good used car, you can find Corollas and Camrys all over the place. But the SUVs, the prices are always high. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.